It's nice, isn't it?
And we're live. Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. Thank you and welcome back to the AMA. I can't believe it's a month since we last spoke. I think we started that meeting, that call at 50.
Matt,
yes.
we're only at 24. Should we maybe wait a couple of minutes before we get started?
Yeah, certainly, James, certainly.
Yeah, I think we just have a quick wait. And I'd imagine like 20 of those individuals probably be our team.
Yes. Yes, so we'll give it a minute to give people time to join. That's a good thing to do.
I know I finally can grow hair. I'm very happy.
Oh, don't rub it in.
Good evening, Emergency Money. Bun, good evening. Cebu FN. Hey, Stanley. Matt, should we start on minute number 3? I think that's probably a fair. I think that's a fair time.
Yeah, we're seeing some good numbers coming up now, so we'll give everyone another 1 more minute just to get settled in. Hoping for some great questions this evening. I mean, certainly it's been an eventful month, lots to talk about. So to all the people on the stream, we're set up for your questions. We're lucky enough to have Mark here. Mark Hope, our head of compliance, who's just itching for some good questions.
Evening all.
And obviously for people, we'll be recording this and sharing it on the usual social media channels as well for all the people who weren't able to make it.
Evening, Nas.
Okay, great. Well, we're at 3 minutes now. We're got a number of people on, so I think it's time to start. So, James, it's been a month. Can't believe it's been a month. A lot's happened. A lot's gone on. I mean, we were at 50 for Bitcoin when we last did this. We're at 55 now, but that doesn't really tell the story of the month. I think it's been pretty eventful, both here at FinExFlow and also in the market. Love to know what your kind of macro view of just what's been going on in the industry, and then what's been going on for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty turbulent time for crypto as a whole, right? So not a lot has really changed, I would say, in the last month with regards to market sentiment. But still, that we're still looking pretty even. I would say. I mean, we've gone into a little bit more of a bullish territory, but still, there's still market uncertainty, especially when it kind of triggers in with the more traditional finance and traditional world. I think that there's more potential downside as well as upside, really. I think the short term can be a little bit turbulent, but obviously longer term, I would be anticipating further Bitcoin appreciation over the medium term. So, I mean, it's been exciting. There's been a little bit of volatility. The alt markets have kind of sold off, which is a little bit disappointing, to be honest. I've been obviously tracking the latest alts, the latest greatest kind of new projects that are coming out in crypto. There are a lot of tokens, and obviously the FXF token is now trading around 30, 31, 32, which is okay. We don't really have a price target for FXF, to be honest, for the short term. Reason being is obviously from my view, we don't yet have the utility for the token. We are anticipating that will be added Q4. So obviously getting the utility added is key. So obviously we do have a debit card that's going to be rolled out, and we also have our rebates and staking and other key utility pieces that are also and features that are going to be rolled out as well, which should then add to our appreciation. And then obviously we're also looking at onboarding lots of institutional customers who will also add to the upside pressure for our token potentially. So that gives a pretty much an overview of the overall market as well as our FXF token.
Good. You mentioned staking, James. How did that go? I think, didn't you launch staking this month?
Yeah, we did launch staking this month. It was rolled out with plenty of time. A fantastic job from Rajesh, our blockchain dev. It was perfectly executed. We do have a number of staking contracts that have been rolled out. I know that they were filled pretty much instantly, so that was quite nice to see the support from the overall community. And then obviously we are looking at rolling out more staking contracts in the coming future, and then there's going to be kind of like a big upgrade which will be coming for January the 1st, which will be essentially the centralized staking that will be linked inside the platform, so that stakers are able to receive those discounts that we've been talking about by holding and staking FXF tokens.
Interesting, and it's a nice flow there where you talk about more utility on the token in Q4, and then obviously that enhanced staking in Q1. Pretty exciting times. Maybe moving on from staking, what else has the team been up to?
So obviously we've been working on a lot of new features. So you'll see that we had a centralized exchange listing, as previously mentioned to the community. The centralized exchange listing was basically our first. It was going to be like a tier 3, tier 2 kind of exchange, which we've now executed. So again, great job to the team. And then consequently, off the back of that, we then have FXF fully tradable on the actual platform. And then obviously we're looking at adding a bunch more features that I'm sure that you'll come on to later on in the interview. But I would say that we've also got a number of other kind of features that are being actively worked on right now. And as you know, Matt being the project manager, the sprints and the cadence from the tech team, we're now starting to find our feet, and things should start running a little bit more smoothly and with a higher cadence.
Good. Just before we move over to Mark, mobile app, tell me more.
Yeah, so the mobile app was also released. That was one of the key features for this month or last month that was also rolled out. The mobile app itself was initially available on Google Play only, because iOS, they have some nuances and some extra hurdles to jump through. But Bruce, our mobile lead, done an absolutely amazing job with regards to getting that application ready and rolled out. And I know there's a lot of people that are now using it. Something that we do, which I saw within the community today, which was somebody within Telegram was actually mentioning, well, I'd much rather have a product that has some bugs or some issues rather than waiting for a project to roll out a platform that takes them 2, 3, 4 years. So that actually really encompasses my own sentiment and my own view. I'd much rather be able to roll out the product and be able to get the mobile app out. We do know that obviously there are other functionalities that need to be added. So we're going to be adding in charting and extra charting, because TradingView just doesn't work within a mobile app environment. But we are going to be rolling out significant upgrades. But now we've basically got the foundation for both the platform and the mobile app, and then we'll continue to grow those with an amazing team behind them.
Great, James. Maybe one last question on this. Do you see this as a supplement to the trading platform, or do you see people just trading on one or the other? How do you see the use case?
I think that It really depends, right? So, I mean, institutional guys are very rarely going to trade off their mobile phone. When I was trading in a bank, you'd never see me sat in the pub having a beer, trading off my phone. It doesn't happen. So I think that's more of a retail place. It's more like the busy guy watching the markets, running around doing his day job or her day job, whoever's using it, and then essentially seeing an opportunity and then buying and selling. The institutional customers that we're currently onboarding are mainly API spec kind of customers, so they're linking into our API environment. But then obviously there are also some institutions that also like to use the front end and be able to execute. So it's mainly retail focused, but maybe I could be wrong, but very rarely would I ever see an institutional trader trading off their mobile phone, because obviously you have compliance, you have regulations, you have certain things that you have to adhere to.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good link into our head of compliance, Mark Hope. So, trading on mobiles, what's your opinion?
Don't do it. No, it's as I fully agree with James. Look, I would say it leans more towards retail. From an institutional trading perspective, people have P&L monitoring, they have risk management processes they need to follow, and there's a whole supervisory framework over traders at the institutional firms that needs to be appropriately managed. We've all heard of the term rogue traders, and giving a trader at a bank or a hedge fund access to trade someone else's money on a mobile phone is a recipe for disaster in terms of the security of a hedge fund or of a bank. So yeah, I would agree with James. I think it is predominantly a retail outlet, although some institutional funds are changing tune. But again, it depends what level of autonomy and lack of supervision those firms are prepared to give to their traders.
Yeah, it's a trade-off with agility versus process, I suppose.
Yeah. It's not without risk, but there are benefits to it as well.
Yeah, but interesting. I really like the way you described it, James. It's literally execution in your pocket. So you see that opportunity, you can reach for it, take the opportunity as well. Great. Same question to you, Mark. We've had an interesting month, and maybe the Bitcoin price start and finish doesn't really represent what's happened. What's been your compliance view of the last month? I mean, there's so much to talk about. Maybe just a couple of highlights. Yeah,
I don't want to go on for too long telling everyone about regulations. This is supposed to be an exciting call, but generally, we've not seen a massive amount of movement in global regulations. I think, in terms of if we sort of superimpose our industry, I guess, across traditional financial markets, which are usually places where these regulators operate, it takes time. This is a new industry. A lot of the regulations out there are not finalized yet, or they are still being enhanced. A lot of regulators around the world are inundated with applications such as our own and many others. So it's moving slowly. From what I'm seeing, a lot of it still seems to be focused on things like financial crime or classifying crypto, for instance, for tax purposes. A lot of countries out there are concerned about money laundering, but they're also concerned about things like capital flight and currency devaluation. And crypto allows people within their country to bypass foreign exchange controls, which they're able to enforce through the banking system. So, from my view, I'm not seeing much in the way of trading rules. So we're still kind of on our own there. But yeah, things are moving slowly. If anything, I expect things to pick up next year.
Interesting, and thanks. Great macro summary. You mentioned devaluation. One market that I find particularly interesting, because I don't know a lot about it, is Latin America. What's your take on what's happening there? We've seen some quasi-legitimization in some markets of Bitcoin. We've seen some state purchase by nation states, which 12 months, even 6 months ago, would be incomprehensible. Maybe your view on Latin America would be interesting for the community.
Yeah, sure. It's part Latin American myself, so because it's a region that's close to my heart. Besides El Salvador, I'm not going to talk about El Salvador. Everyone knows about it. But a lot of sentiment in Latin America at the government level, from my observation, remains mixed. Some of the more positive jurisdictions, some of those, places like Panama and Costa Rica, have very low and favourable tax environments. So they're trying to sort of rush through legislation to categorise or classify crypto for tax purposes, as I alluded to earlier, to give them that kind of framework to then attract, new and larger players in the industry to come and set up in their jurisdiction. Venezuela, as we know, legalized mining at the end of last year. That's about it. Obviously, Venezuela is under a very different kind of pressure than a lot of other countries. Mexico is slowly becoming more pro crypto. The largest exchange in the region, Bitso, is located in Mexico, and some of the Mexican banks have even indicated that they'd be willing to accept it as a form of payment. Again, what banks say and what they actually do is another thing. On the other end of the scale, you've got countries like Bolivia that has banned crypto altogether, and Ecuador, stating they're adamant that they're not going to go the way of El Salvador and actually go the full hog and allow it as legal tender. Again, nothing on kind of trading regulation or consumer protection. It all seems to be based on taxation and capital flight.
Really interesting. Thanks. I didn't realize that about Ecuador as well. So yeah, great update. Okay, I think what we'll do is have a look at now some of the community questions. We've already got a couple, but any other questions, please put them in the live stream and we'll catch them and have a look at them. So this is the part I always hate trying to pronounce the usernames, but Jack909 and Gilongo714. Where are we at in terms of trading pairs? What do you think we're going to have by the end of Q4? And that's either to James or Mark.
Yeah. Before I move into to that particular question, there's some individuals saying that some person took their own life because they purchased the FXF token, and I would just like to really address this like right now. Finex Flow, we do not encourage anybody to buy any crypto at all if you don't understand the risks involved. We would never ever say that you should purchase any cryptocurrency unless you understand exactly what you are doing. If you are to lose any money, then essentially it's because you're realizing a trade. My own portfolio, because obviously I'm also owning FXF tokens myself. Finex Flow as an overall project is going to be a longer term project. So if you look at projects like FTX or other like exchange like traded products, normally the token price is normally stable around a price, and then eventually it kind of shoots up. So I would urge for anybody holding the token to be extremely patient. And we will be able to get there, and we will be able to get the token there. Now, if somebody has decided to be upset or take something into their own hands, then unfortunately we are not responsible for that. We are all responsible adults. However, we do try to urge anybody who's buying cryptocurrency to understand the risks involved before purchasing any. Okay, so now moving on to. We're moving on to the question about how many token pairs. So previously, we mentioned that there will be about 70 token pairs, which I saw that somebody also mentioned. That 70 token pairs, unfortunately, hasn't been met. The reason being is that our custodian that we're using have been unable to complete the integration. So we're now actually changing custodial providers. So we are working on that now. I would anticipate it may not be by the end of Q4, but it will certainly be Q1 next year that we should have over those 70 assets. During integration phases of any technology product, there are certain nuances and there are changes and there are amendments. So as we travel down the path, we then realize that obviously the custodian is unable to cater to what we require. However, we did communicate that, and that came directly from me. So I do hold myself responsible. So anybody that's upset that was mentioned, I do apologize. However, by Q1 we will have over the amount that was previously mentioned, and we will be pushing super hard.
Thanks very much, James. Super clear there. And again, it's all building up for a very exciting Q1 as we, we'll have those extra assets and we'll have that extra utility as well. Can't wait, really exciting. So I think the name of the evening so far is Doppelganger 007. And he's got a really good question about additional chains and transfer of assets as well. What's your thoughts on this, and what's our plan? Where are we going?
Again, to be totally honest with you guys, the chains where we're currently working with, obviously Ethereum, BSC, and Tron. I totally understand that you're unable to deposit on BSC. That's because we don't have PancakeSwap integrated as a liquidity provider, essentially. We're unable to do that do this at that moment. The reason being that we're unable to get that executed is because our roadmap is so packed full of amazing features and upgrades that are basically taking precedent. So if anybody is holding any BSC, then what I would suggest is you bridge, because we built the bridges for this reason. So to bridge into Ethereum, and then from Ethereum, then you'll be able to deposit on the actual trading platform. So change from the BSC or for the Tron, and change into the Ethereum chain, and then you will be able to deposit your assets on the trading platform. However, we are keeping this in view, and it is being added to the roadmap. But as you guys know, given the COVID situation as well, it's very difficult for us to be hiring lots of development staff at this present moment. So that's something where, again, giving you guys total clarity and color, it's not easy to hire right now. So we are adding more devs, and we are going to be pushing for it, but it's just not in the current roadmap due to the fact that we've got so many amazing more features and products that are about to be released.
Great, thank you. Super clear, James. Roopaloop has a question about the institutional users. Now, we did talk about APIs and being a little bit later, but could you talk maybe a little bit about your goal for 2022 for institutional users?
Yeah, very, very good question. So we are rolling out CFDs, futures and options. Obviously, we have Spot. So Spot's ready, prepared, done, completed. CFDs, futures and options. It really depends on the kind of demographic of institutional customer you're talking about, right? So there are basically multiple prongs for an institutional customer. An institutional guy could be a hedge fund where they're going to plug in and basically start trading and using our platform directly to buy cryptocurrency. There's also what's classed as prime of prime, which is essentially an institutional customer, but they are a brokerage or they're a prime broker, and they want to have crypto liquidity. So we will plug in our pipe to them, and they will then be able to offer those assets to their brokers that they're also supporting for their liquidity, or we will price in directly to the brokerage house themselves. So when you log into ABC broker or ABC entity, you will be able to see the streamed prices, but those streamed prices will actually be from Finex Flow. So we will be pricing those in. That actually comes when we're building out now our Fix 4.4. So the Fix 4.4 is due to be rolled out at some point in November. We've already teed up, and we're already prepared to plug and play into some of the world's largest prime of prime. When I say the largest, you're talking about tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of transactional volume in the traditional world, but they will be using Finex Flow as their crypto arm, essentially, and us plugging in the pipe. So we are anticipating by the end of this year, we should have a huge increase in the amount of crypto volume that is being traded through the platform, obviously for Spot. And then next year, obviously CFDs and derivatives are very important to many institutional customers, which we're adding. We're also acquiring a state banking license. So in the state of Wyoming, we are now proceeding forward for a speedy charter. So Finex Flow will be the same as Kraken. We will actually be a bank. So that's aiming to be rolled out by the end of 2022. That's where we're going to be essentially offering like crypto mortgages, automobile loans, everything that you could think within a traditional bank is something that Finex Flow will be offering, but in the crypto sphere. And then we're also got some more exciting announcements for all of our institutional customers again, because we're going to be offering essentially as a prime brokerage offering. So we're going to be developing our prime offering, which is then building up our own custodian to ensure that we're able to offer prime services, which would be like credit lending, let's say not credit lending, but lending facilities and things like that through decentralized finance and centralized finance. So that gives you a little bit more color and clarity on where we're moving. And Finex Flow will actually be a huge market player without actually being seen. So there's not only going to be a lot of institutional customers that are actually signing up directly to us, but there's going to be a lot of institutions, i.e. brokers and brokerage houses, that will be using our liquidity, but you'll never see the Finex Flow stamp or name, but we will be the ones that will be providing that liquidity behind the scenes, which is where the hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars worth of flow and revenue is going to be generated from.
Wow. Certainly a lot happening. My immediate thought with that is obviously we talk about licensing, regulation, and that's a good segue into Mark. And maybe I'd love to know what your view are. I know that we're doing some interesting things in Cyprus, the US, Singapore. Maybe you can give us a quick 5 minutes on licensing, regulation, where we're up to, what you see happening.
Yeah, sure. What I see happening is us getting the licenses. We have a strong team, we have a very strong compliance department and a strong management structure. So we're very confident, but realistically, they're all in application in the US, as you say, Cyprus and here in Singapore. We are in constant contact with the regulators. They are assessing us. They are requesting varying degrees of information from us, and we're giving them what they need. As I said, many of the regulators around the world are absolutely inundated with these license applications. It is a new market, and they've not done this before. We're doing everything we can to help facilitate their investigations and their due diligence. And we're confident that these will start coming to fruition very soon. What we're not doing is we're not waiting for the licenses to be given before we start doing the right thing. We are applying best practice. And when no regulations exist, we're taking these sensible best practice routes from the traditional financial markets and applying them to our own conduct. As I said before, trading regulations, conduct regulations, consumer protection, this is something that not many regulators, if anything, are yet legislating for or even thinking about. It's something we're thinking about, and it's something we're implementing. So again, licensing, we're expecting not much movement leading up to the end of the year, potentially with one of them maybe. Really, we're looking at the first half of 2022 is when a lot of these regulators, particularly in the jurisdictions where we're under application, things are going to start moving a bit quicker, particularly as more and more regions come out of COVID and more staff start returning to the office.
Interesting, yeah. James, anything else on licensing, maybe additional licenses or anything else?
Yeah, so we actually are proceeding forward in Dubai. So we're setting up a Dubai office, and we're also going to be acquiring a Dubai license, which I know that, again, Mark and his team have been completing a lot of due diligence around that, which is absolutely amazing. And then we're also moving into Indonesia. So in Indonesia, we see within the region as a key strategic market. So we're also acquiring a license there through the regulators in Indonesia. Many people associate in Indonesia with a lack of funds. However, it's totally the opposite. The actual market size and their purchasing and spending power within crypto is absolutely mammoth. So we are now moving into Indonesia and Dubai as we speak, and acquiring those licenses as well. And we're hoping to get those concluded, I would say, by Q1 next year. So we're anticipating, as what Mark says, Singapore license, Dubai license, European license. So the license from SciSec and for Indonesian license to all hopefully be coinciding around Q1. Some will be slightly sooner, some might be slightly later, but around Q1 of next year.
Excellent, great update both. I think what we'll do next time is we'll maybe talk in a little bit more detail about them, because we'll have a bit more progress. It'd be great to hear more about your ideas, not only about the licensing, but the products and the offices as well. Good. I'm going to roll the next two questions into one. They came from Alvin, Doppelganger, and Mike. It's around whitelisting, KYC, maybe a little bit of the friction that some of the community are seeing in this. if you could maybe just talk around this and why we do things the way we do, I think that could be really helpful. And then we'll go to some of the questions from the live chat.
Okay. Yeah, sure thing. I guess I'll take this one. So look, KYC is a vital part of what we do. Pretty much any financial institution or any brokerage will have a legal obligation to perform it. What that means is we need to make sure we get adequate information about our customers so we know who we're trading with. That is to keep bad actors out of the financial system. It's very common in traditional financial markets. It will be very common in crypto markets as well. And this really is to prevent things like financial crime, money laundering, but also things like global terrorism and human trafficking. There are the financial system is used to fund some pretty heinous things. We don't want to be part of that. We want to help authorities, keep the financial system and keep our industry within the law, and make our industry cleaner. A cleaner industry from our side will make wholesale crypto adoption come much, much quicker, and that's just better for everyone in this industry. In terms of wallet whitelisting, wallet whitelisting really is something we have to do as part of the travel rule. Now, the travel rule is a piece of guidance by the FATF in the US that states that basically beneficiary institutions and ordering institutions need to communicate with each other details about the senders and the recipients of funds. When you send a bank transfer, you send a bank transfer to a friend, your bank will say to your friend's bank, you have sent this transfer to this person, and the two match it up, and that's how they know where the money's coming from and where it's going to. That enables authorities to follow the trail of money. The travel rule says exactly that. The problem that we have with private wallets, for instance, is that there is no ordering institution. It's a private wallet. So the only way we can really achieve compliance with the travel rule is to whitelist that wallet, and that's to allow us a process whereby on the balance of proof, or the balance of probability, or the burden of proof, whatever you want to call it, we can say beyond a reasonable doubt that you own or have influence over that wallet. And again, from the point of view of the authorities, we've KYC'd you, we can demonstrate or prove that you have influence or ownership over that wallet. It allows the authorities to then follow that trail of money. It's very important. It's a legal requirement here in Singapore and pretty much all over the world. And if it's not a legal requirement yet, it will be. Again, FATF travel rule is at the moment guidance, but more and more jurisdictions are adopting it into their legal frameworks, like Singapore, which was, I believe, one of the first. And so it's very important. We have to do it. I think the days of, being able to trade without KYC and without, a bit of friction are coming to an end. I think that's just the way that it's going. Some people may see that as a downside. My personal view is that's just a necessary part of doing business in a ever increasing world of regulation.
Great, good answer, Mark. Thank you very much. Much clearer as well. And I think that's it. It links nicely with the last point we made about licensing, that we don't want to get all the way down the route of licensing and realize that we haven't thought ahead and missed something like this. So good, thanks for clearing that up. So we're going to go on to the questions from the live stream here. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to get to all of them. I'll pick a few out, and then what we'll do is the team who you can't see will follow up with you individually and connect you with one of our team for the questions if we don't get to you. So apologies about that. There's three questions from Ben. First of all is asking around options and futures. Are these part of the license applications, or is this something separate? Is it kind of a chicken and egg situation, or do the ability to do options and futures come with the licenses?
No. So, well, actually, Mark, this being the chief compliance officer, off you go. You can answer it.
Yeah, sure thing. So no, basically, most countries will have a completely separate regulatory and licensing framework to cover futures and options and any other derivatives trading. Some jurisdictions do have exemptions for if you're trading with institutional clients. For instance, in the European Union, if you're trading with an eligible counterparty, some OTC derivatives, you're exempted from needing a license. Eligible counterparty is like a bank, basically a large wholesale bank. Other jurisdictions require that you need a license for everything. In the US, for instance, you need to either be given permission or be given an exemption by the regulator, by the CFTC. So it really does vary country to country. Again, the net is closing very tightly all around the world in terms of offering of these products to retail. That's just the way it is. There are some exchanges that have been doing that have been quite publicly criticised for doing so, and are now facing regulatory consequences. That's not a position we want to put ourselves in. We believe in following the letter of the law and operating within the permissions of our jurisdictions. So it's not part of the license application yet, but that's not to say it won't be in the future.
Good, thank you. To Ben's two other questions, or your sub-questions, yes, we can provide liquidity in Europe, and one of our team will reach out about your question about connecting via API as well. So thanks very much for the question. We'll connect with you offline about that one. The next question we've got from here is from Naz H. Will we be adding a live feed to the website where people can track prices of the exchange without logging in? Just so that people can check the price quickly. I mean, I think the mobile app does help solve that, but any thoughts on that, James?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a number of people kind of say this, but to sign up to the platform, you don't need to complete any KYC or anything. You can log in and you just literally take a look at the pricing. It takes literally less than 2 minutes. Right. So if the whole point of us not allowing that is because if people are super interested in our product and that they want to check out our pricing, then they simply just sign up. And as Matt Jackson just clearly states, then you can also use the mobile app to also check out the pricing, and you can just flick that on now out your pocket. But there are no plans for us to do that. The reason being is obviously if we do, people are able to then take our or have the potential of taking our price feed. So there's not a lot they can really do with it, but we just need to be super protectionist, because as everybody on this presentation and this call will appreciate, that we have global best price available with inverted spreads. Right, so that's our core USP. So yeah, we want to be able to ensure that people sign up to us and that they take advantage of that, but by signing up to the platform.
Good, thanks. We had a question from HD about further exchange listings, and I think we've already covered this, but anything you'd quickly like to say about that for maybe Q1 next year?
Yeah. So we are aiming for another exchange listing. That is planned. That is in the roadmap. It may be Q4. Maybe, again, don't hold a gun to my head and say you said Q4, James, because like it may be, or it might be Q1. We are in negotiations. We are talking to various different parties, and we are aiming for another centralized exchange listing at some point in the next 6 months.
Great, thank you. Good question from Adrian Robinson. James, can you share the marketing and branding plans for next quarter, so Q1 next year? Just at a high level, just where your thinking's at the moment for marketing and branding.
Yeah, so we have started marketing. We have started branding. We have. I saw someone within the community saying, "Oh, I went onto CoinGecko and I didn't see the Finex Flow logo." But I feel that the marketing team have been doing a fantastic effort with regards to really pushing. It's not only about us marketing ourselves. Basically, any project that's super successful, it's more about the networking effect. Right, so the networking effect is a lot easier if we strategically align lots of different marketing affiliates, which we now have. So Stanley Lim has moved across from retail, and he's now moved into into the head of affiliate marketing, and he's now signing up a lot of affiliates. These affiliates are also going to be marketing in their local jurisdictions. So obviously, many of us are speak English, so we're in the English-speaking markets. But when these affiliates are working in, say, Russia, when they're working in Ukraine, when they're working in Vietnam, when they're working in wherever the other countries may be, we may not necessarily be aware of it, but we are working in those areas. So again, I would urge everybody that's kind of frustrated around the marketing. We have started. We have done paid media. We're doing ads. We're doing as much as we possibly can. And the major exchanges that have done really well have always had a robust affiliate program / introducing 10 traders and getting free trading fees and receiving rebates essentially. And being signed up as introducing brokers or affiliates. So we are working super hard to get the affiliate networking up and running and moving, as well as all the other kind of areas that we're working in. And then obviously next year we will probably look to sponsor or have some kind of sponsorship deal somewhere. Maybe it's a sport team. We don't know yet, but we're still trying to work out those kind of progressive moves. And then obviously we're also actively working around the clock to ensure that we get brand recognition and that people understand what we're doing, but we're not deploying all of our funds in that particular area right now, because as everybody can appreciate, we still don't have CFDs, we still don't have futures, we still don't have NFTs, etc. So we are looking at having all of those aggregated and integrated within the platform. So again, we just need to be a little bit patient, but we will really start to ramp up in 2022.
Great, thanks. And you actually answered you preempted the next question from Steve Laker about sports and football sponsorship. And if there's anyone you know from back in the day, you would be reaching out to. But I think we said, watch this space, I think, for that one. I know you did mention fees, and Exponential Beast, who I think has won the name of the night, did have a question about our trading fees versus other platforms. I know you talked about rebates as well. Maybe a quick update on that.
Yeah, so trading fees have always been a bone of contention. So it really depends on what you prefer to see. So many people say, especially within the retail sphere, many individuals say, well, zero fees, I want zero fees, right? So of course we can offer zero fees. We can offer 2 basis point fee. I can give you a 1 basis point fee, 0, 3, 4, 5. But I'm going to be taking that fee. I'm going to be generating that revenue from somewhere, right? So I will be generating it. So when you see 0 fees, and when you see 1 basis point or 2 basis points or 10 basis points or 15 basis points, the actual counterparty that you're trading with will be taking their slice out of the spread. Right, so this is where you would never ever see inverted spreads previously. So what we show you, the price is what you see is what you get. There's there's no markup. However, we are aware of this, and it is something that we have been discussing internally. So maybe we will move to a 0 fee model for retail customers, and institutional customers will continue under the same model. Again, but the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm opening up to the community. So if the community all feel that we would be better off moving into a 0 fee basis, then of course we are able to do that. But we will be recuperating that somewhere else, the same way as any of our competitors or any other exchange. When they are generating hundreds of millions of dollars in profits, they're not doing this because they're basically executing with 10 basis points or 5 basis points or whatever. So if you actually work out the maths, and if you look at the actual transactional volumes that they're concluding, the maths doesn't quite add up. So if you go on to CoinGecko and look at the say for instance number one, which will obviously be Binance, you can look at Binance and then you can look at their fees, and then you'll be like, well, how are Binance making hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars every single year with just that trading fee? Because they're not, right? So there are hidden fees in other areas. We have tried to be the transparent players within the game. And that's how we will always be. We disclose everything. We are very transparent. Cryptocurrency previously has been unregulated. Unregulated operators operate in a way where they hide in the shadows and they hide fees. That's something that we haven't done. But if we do decide to go the route of zero fees, the same as Robinhood or one of the other kind of brokerages out there, we can also offer that as well. So it is something that is on the horizon. And then I'll move on to, I guess, staking of FXF tokens and using the FXF token in order to get rebates. So rebates, essentially, the whole model around rebates is to lower execution costs, right? So when you buy FXF tokens, or essentially you're holding them because you're a long-term holder of the projects and you believe that we're doing a very good job, because we are, we're really working really hard. And essentially you want to be able to stake those tokens and you want to be able to put them in our centralized staking. So we're rolling that out very shortly. That will then allow you to jump through the various rebate tiers. If you haven't seen the rebates, then I urge you to go to finexflow.com and click on rebates. And then you'll be able to also use your FXF in order to get 3 times rebates, which will then essentially be able to negate any of those trading fees. Because ultimately, everybody that's holding the FXF token wants utility to be added for the token. Because when there's utility added, what happens? The price goes up because people are buying the token because they want to be able to use it within the infrastructure. So that's something that we're guiding and we're driving people to do. So essentially, all of the institutional customers, we're driving them to stake tokens. So they will automatically go to tier 5. So they will buy $500,000 worth of tokens. They will then stake them for 90 days. And then from that 90 days, they will then be able to go straight to tier 5. And then they'll be able to execute. Execute using FXF tokens, and then essentially they're reducing the cost of execution down by 45 basis points. So that then means that technically Finex Flow at that stage are not making any like literally zero, because five basis points gets paid away to the liquidity provider. But that's where we're trying to guide people to buy the token, stake the token, and have utility. So everybody on this call knows what we're driving towards, and that's why we should be able to see token appreciation. But again, I do urge everybody to be patient on this particular point.
Great answer. And I think, thanks for explaining it so clearly, James. That's really clear. I mean, I think just we're getting towards the end now. I'll maybe just sum up and then we'll finish with one last question. So obviously a lot coming with the mobile. For me, the big things that came away from this are we've obviously got a very big quarter coming and an even bigger quarter coming right there. So it's certainly around growth and utility of the token, but supported by the strong compliance structure and regulation that we're working on as well. Just on that, any last words from you, Mark, just on compliance, regulation?
No, not on top of what I've already said. What I will say is I will echo James's sentiment on transparency. I think it's really important. We do disclose our methodologies. We're adopting something called best execution from the MiFID world in the EU, which carries with it a lot about price transparency and about the disclosures you need to make and making your customers aware of where those charges are coming. So, James's ethos is bang on. We do take fees, we do take those charges, but we will always tell you where we're taking them.
Great, thank you. Okay, James, with the last question, it's a bit more of a fun one. Tim Flower, NFTs, Finex Flow NFT.
Well, before I answer that, Tim Flower, were you the goalkeeper that played for? I think it was Blackburn Rovers. I think was that Tim Flowers? Was it Tim Flower or Tim Flowers?
I think it was Tim Flowers. He was. Yeah.
It was Flowers.
Yeah. Okay, Tim Flowers, not Flowers.
One of the old gang reaching out, maybe.
Yeah, no. So NFTs, yes, it is something that we're looking at. The team have been obviously when I was watching, the DeFi market and NFTs years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, before DeFi really kind of skyrocketed. For me, it was a big toss up. I really thought that NFTs were going to take off before DeFi, but they lagged massively behind, right? The NFT world is pretty crazy at the moment, as everybody sees. So an Ether rock is going for $5 or $10 million. You know, it's absolutely outrageous. However, there is a lot of opportunity, and where there's opportunity, we are happy to move into those markets, as long as, guess what, Mark Hope and the compliance team are happy that we're moving into that particular market in a safe and regulated way. Then yes, of course, we are closely monitoring the NFT market. I did see as well that one of the community created like a Phoenix Flow NFT or something like that came onto my desk. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah, I think it flashed up on Telegram. Someone did something with an NFT about Phoenix Flow, and then it was quickly taken down. Look, I think yeah, look, you hit the nail on the head. NFTs are a kind of unexplored market. I mean, regulators are only just getting their heads around stable coins. You know, that's something the SEC are looking at with great interest. I think NFTs, I don't want to speculate on it now, but you know, it looks, you know, a non-fungible token looks like a tradable security. And in my experience, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like the duck, it's probably a duck. And I think, you know, regulators could potentially think the same way as well.
Great, good answer, Mark. An interesting parallel. I've not really thought about that before, but there are similarities with security. James, a couple of words to finish us off. And then
yeah, again, look, guys, I really appreciate the entire community. You've been absolutely amazing since day one, since our IDO and prior to this. Thank you for everybody's patience as well, and to anybody that's not being as patient, I do urge you to be patient, because you know, a baby, if you were to basically impregnate 9 women, you're still not going to have a baby in 1 month, right? It's still going to take 9 months for you to be able to have a baby. Yeah. So we are working. We're pushing really, really hard. Yeah. So I do urge the community to be a little bit patient, and to the guys that are being patient, again, we really, really love your support. We really care about all of your feedback. We're trying to we're also trying to be a little bit more engaging. So the marketing team have also come out with surveys to kind of give the user experience and the user feedback. So as long as we're working together in unison and essentially looking to work together with constructive feedback, it's something that we really, really care about, right? So please keep on pushing us, and we promise you that we will deliver, because we are working around the clock, as I mentioned, and we'll continue until we will become global #1, as I saw was in the Telegram chat previously.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone for the community for joining, and look forward to speaking to you in a month. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.